Clara Maynard tightened her grip on the leather strap of her small suitcase as she trudged through the dusty Kansas plains. The wind tugged at her bonnet, carrying the faint smell of prairie grass mixed with the lingering scent of smoke from distant homesteads. Orphaned only months before, Clara had nowhere to go and little hope, but she had her determination and the knowledge that she had to survive. At the edge of town, she spotted a modest whitewashed house with neatly trimmed shrubs and a small wooden sign swinging in the wind. Widow Harper's Boardinghouse. The house seemed welcoming in a quiet, stern way. Clara hesitated, sensing both safety and unease. A tall woman with sharp eyes, dressed in a simple black dress, approached. Her presence was imposing, yet the faint softness in her gaze hinted at kindness. "Looking for a room, child?" the woman asked, her voice firm but not unkind. Clara nodded. "Yes, ma'am. My name's Clara Maynard. I need work and a place to stay." The widow smiled faintly and gestured toward the door. "Then you found the right place. Come in and make yourself useful." Inside, the house smelled of fresh baked bread and dust, a strangely comforting combination. Clara followed the widow through a narrow hallway, lined with faded portraits of stern-looking ancestors, feeling an inexplicable sense of being watched. Little did she know, this house held secrets far darker and deeper than the dust on its shelves. Clara was introduced to the other boarders. Tom, a rugged blacksmith with hands that told stories of hard labor. Eli, a traveling musician with a gentle voice that seemed to carry sorrow in its melody. Margaret, a young schoolteacher with soft eyes and an inquisitive mind, and a handful of others, each carrying their own silent burdens. Everyone was polite but distant. Conversations were cautious, and laughter seemed muted, as though the house demanded a certain quiet. That night Clara lay awake in her small room, listening to the creaks of the old floorboards. Faint whispers seemed to float through the walls, almost inaudible but enough to stir her curiosity. She pulled her shawl tight and told herself it was just the wind. But the wind, as she would soon learn, carried more than dust across Harperville. In the evenings, Clara often watched the widow from a distance, noticing the way her gaze lingered on the horizon. Harper seemed lost in thought, waiting for something, or someone, that never came. Clara finally mustered the courage to ask about the town. "Why do people stay here, ma'am?" she asked softly. Harper's expression hardened. "Some stories are better left untold, child. Focus on your work and your rest." Yet that evening, Clara noticed tears glistening in the widow's eyes as she stared at the setting sun, and a strange ache of empathy bloomed in Clara's chest. That night, Clara dreamt vividly. Shadows moved silently through the house, doors creaked open by unseen hands, and faint laughter echoed through the hallways. She awoke to the dim light of dawn, heart racing. In the morning, she shared her dream with Eli, who frowned gravely. "This house, it remembers," he said quietly, as if speaking a secret. "Things happen here that can't be explained. Some of them, they linger." Clara wasn't sure whether to feel fear or curiosity. There was something in Eli's tone that hinted at reverence, not dread. Harperville was a quiet town, and its townsfolk spoke in whispers about the boarding house. Over the years, people had disappeared without a trace, many of them boarders at Widow Harper's. No lawman could explain it, and some blamed wandering spirits, while others whispered about the widow herself. Clara, hearing these rumors, felt both unease and a strange desire to understand. She wanted to know the truth, not to fear it, but to honor those who might be lost. One evening, Eli took out his fiddle and began playing in the parlor. The tune was haunting, filled with sorrow and longing, as if he were calling across the years. "They say music keeps spirits at bay," Eli said softly, his eyes wet. "Or maybe it calls them closer." Clara listened, feeling the house itself respond. The shadows seemed to sway, the walls hummed, and she realized that the disappearances were somehow connected to the house's heartbeat. While tidying the library one afternoon, Clara noticed a gap behind a bookshelf. She pushed it aside, revealing a hidden door leading to a cellar filled with old trunks, faded letters, and sepia-toned photographs. Among them, a journal written by a young girl long gone caught her attention. The journal spoke of laughter, dreams, and love, but ended abruptly. "They are coming. I must hide them." Clara felt a shiver. The house had always held secrets, but this one seemed personal, urgent, and connected to every disappearance. That night, Clara heard faint voices in the hallways, not threatening, but urgent. They spoke of guiding and protecting, of watching over the living. When she asked Tom, the blacksmith, about it, he looked away, his jaw tight. "Some leave because they must," he said simply. The words lingered, strange and comforting at the same time. Clara realized there was more to the disappearances than tragedy. They were acts of quiet selflessness. A traveling preacher arrived in Harperville, and after visiting the boarding house, he cornered Clara. "You must leave," he urged, eyes wide with fear. "This house, it takes more than it gives. The past calls to the present, and some souls answer forever." Clara, rather than feeling fear, felt empathy. She was drawn to the widow and the boarders, sensing that whatever danger existed, it was not malevolent, but protective. Clara confided in Margaret, the school teacher, who revealed her quiet research into the disappearances. Margaret explained that those who vanished were not truly gone. Their presence lingered in tokens, letters, and memories preserved in the house. "Maybe they are helping each other," Margaret said softly, "and guiding anyone who comes after them." Clara felt a strange warmth, understanding that love and care could transcend life itself. A violent storm lashed Harperville one night. The wind shook windows, and rain hammered the roof. As lightning illuminated the house, Clara heard voices, clear, comforting, guiding. It was then she realized the disappeared were not lost. They were bound to the house, protecting it and those within it. Their devotion was quiet, unseen, and profound. Finally, Clara confronted the widow. Harper's stoic demeanor broke, and she shared the truth. Decades ago, a fire had claimed many lives in the town. The boarders who disappeared were those who had died, remaining to guide and protect future arrivals. "They stayed," Harper said, voice trembling, "so no one else would have to face the loneliness I felt." Clara's eyes welled with tears. The so-called tragedy was an act of enduring love. Clara understood that the house was a sanctuary. The living and departed coexisted, preserving safety and comfort. She marveled at the sacrifices made quietly by those who had vanished, and the way love could ripple across generations. Her fear transformed into reverence, and she resolved to honor the house and its invisible guardians. Eli's music took on a different tone, triumphant, joyful. Clara realized the house was alive with memories and kindness, and the departed were rejoicing. The boarding house was more than a place to sleep. It was a living testament to love, resilience, and hope. Tom revealed his own encounter with the spirits. He had once been swept into a river, but an invisible hand had guided him to safety. "Now I understand my purpose," he said, "to protect the house and the people who come to it." Clara felt awe at the silent heroism woven into the fabric of the boarding house. Word of the house's strange protection spread slowly. Visitors left the boarding house kinder, more compassionate. Harperville itself seemed to glow with a newfound warmth. The disappearances became symbols of selfless devotion, inspiring awe and gratitude rather than fear. Clara chose to stay, becoming a caretaker. She learned the rituals and ways of the house, ready to guide newcomers just as the departed had guided her. Her heart swelled with gratitude, realizing quiet sacrifices often shaped lives more than grand gestures ever could. An elderly woman arrived one morning, lost and weary. Clara welcomed her, and the woman smiled knowingly. "You found your place," she whispered, "and you'll protect it, just as they did." The cycle of care continued, bridging life and memory in the house. Walking the halls at night, Clara heard laughter, music, and whispers. She felt connected to every soul who had come before, understanding that true heroism was quiet, unseen, but deeply transformative. The boarding house had become a living monument to love and sacrifice. Years later, Harperville thrived. Clara, now steward of the boarding house, shared stories of the disappeared. Travelers arrived lost and left inspired. The strange mass disappearance had never been tragic. It was a quiet miracle of care, connection, and love. The legacy lived on in Clara and every life touched by Widow Harper's boarding house.